My natal Mercury is in Pisces, and with this video I am going to illustrate what it exactly means. Because I was thinking, and this is one of the reasons why I created this YouTube journey for myself. There are several other reasons, but I already shared that for me it's very important to train and experiment my verbal communication skills, because I feel that there is still a lot to learn on this side. And in what way? In a structured way, in a focused way. When I decide to talk about something and I prepare for that, for some reason what happens is that I don't talk the way I prepared. I don't tell the ideas and thoughts and words and maybe sentences and expressions that came to my mind when I was preparing this whole speech. No matter how much I write down before that, no matter how beautifully I summarize my thoughts in a written form, when it comes to this segment about giving the talk, speaking, then somehow it doesn't happen the way I want it to happen. The thoughts and words just start their own life, and sometimes I have no idea what I'm talking about. In a way I do. I just start and I keep going and going and going. And this is exactly what Pisces is, what Pisces energy is. And in this time, I'm not talking about all the qualities of Pisces. This time I'm talking about what attributes and what qualities Pisces have which influence my communication. And yes, Pisces is dreamy, it's creative, it's more artistic, it's visual, so it's less tangible in many ways. Just imagine the fish in the sea or in the ocean, whatever, in the water. So you see that the fish doesn't go straight forward in most of the cases. The fish goes like this way, just gives its rounds. And it doesn't mean that the fish doesn't know where it's going. It just means that the fish has its own terms. And that's what I'm experiencing in my verbal communication. And there is an interesting side of this, because we can say that, oh, it's all about training and it's all about focusing. And yes, I agree. And yet I remember once it happened in my corporate life when my boss told me, I prepared a presentation and with all the documents, everything was written. That was the first time I prepared something like that for my boss, because that boss just got promoted. So that was the first time I created something like that for my boss, for that boss. And what happened? Actually, it's very interesting. That boss told me, like, I'm surprised what I got, because when we talk, when we have one-on-ones, the way you share your ideas is all over. I mean, I understand your ideas, but they are all over. They are not that well structured. And sometimes I cannot even get to the point, or I have to ask extra questions to make sure I understand well. And then I have this document in front of me and the presentation, and it's structured. And there is no fluff and no extra words in it. Everything is straightforward and nothing to be corrected, nothing to be asked, nothing to question in a way, I mean, to clarify things. It's so different the way you present yourself in verbal compared to what you presented here. So I started to think, not then, but now I started to think later on my development journey, how come that my written communication is so different than my verbal communication? And it's very easy, because again, we come to the terms of training and practicing, because my written communication was practiced a lot. It was practiced in school when I had to prepare essays. It was practiced quite a lot in my years in the corporate environment, because that's where I learned that if I want to get answers for my emails, if I want to get quick approvals, then the best way is to summarize and write it in a straight to the point way, which is still polite. It has all the information, all the details, easy to read, easy to see through the whole document, and yep, goes straight to the point. So I learned that. In many years, I practiced that. So that's why my written communication can be so different. And also, in writing, I have time. I mean, maybe the first time I start writing and then rewrite the whole thing, just to make sure that I cut all the unnecessary parts of it and keep the ones that are essential and necessary for the purpose that I want to create that document and for the purpose of what I want to get from that communication. And the same thing didn't happen with the verbal communication. I didn't practice that. I didn't have many cases when I had to stand in front of many people, and give a summarized, structured speech. So, because yes, I had team meetings with different groups, but that was different because there my responsibility was discussion, like facilitating discussions, and yes, giving information, but that was straightforward. So it was not about sharing ideas in a structured, detail-focused way. And also it happened that when I had to do that, either I was very nervous and prepared lots for the meeting, or simply the meeting didn't go well. That happens because that's part of the training. So what do I want to say with that? First, everything is trainable. Second, how come I talk about astrology here in this point? Because astrology helped me accept and understand what is going on with my thoughts, with my words, with my communication, that I am not someone who is not able to communicate. I'm not someone who doesn't know how to use words. I am someone who needs more time to prepare for different occasions when the verbal communication comes into the picture. And it doesn't mean that I cannot do that. It means that more training is needed for me. And also, what I learned is that it's very important to accept and to have awareness about our gifts and about some of our qualities that we have. And I find astrology as a very good tool for that, the applied astrology. So yes, many cases people think that astrology and now tell me the future. No, astrology is not for that. At least in my interpretation, astrology is something that talks in energies, in the language of planets, and that is all. And the way we interpret it and the way we use it and apply this knowledge in our life is completely up to us. And I decided to use astrology like I represented now, with finding out that my Mercury, which is the planet of communication, is in the signs of Pisces. It took me some time to really understand what the benefits of it are and what the challenges of it are. And when I have desires and I have goals and I want to reach something, then I'm not blaming the planet, but okay, I cannot do that because my Mercury is in that sign, or my Mars is in another sign. No, it's up to me. It's up to me to know where I can do my part, in what way I can do my part, without comparing myself to others, but comparing myself to me. And Yes, I am not sure how well I illustrated my communication planet, Mercury, in Pisces. And of course, Mercury has other associations. This time I wanted to highlight the communication part. So I am not sure whether I could introduce it properly through me, through my example, which is still quite untrained communication from my side. This is what I'm working on because I know it's possible, and I also know that there are people who would love to talk the way I do. And yeah, so this is my presentation and illustration what it means having Mercury in Pisces, natal Mercury. And this time I was talking, so it's important to highlight that I was talking about the communication part of Mercury because there are other fields that can be associated to this planet. Currently, for me, communication is one of the most important topics because that's something that I want to develop, improve in my life. So thank you for listening. I will talk more about these topics because I believe that applied astrology, so when we use astrology and the knowledge we get from the energies of the planets, can be very beneficial in our lives because it can bring awareness, it can bring some blind spots to the surface, and when used well, it can be a very good tool in personal development. So thank you for listening and see you next time. Bye.